This is Providence Television International, the game changer.
Welcome to the newspaper analysis on Providence Television International. I am Ubebo Ikekwa. To analyze the newspapers this morning, I have with me the Chief Executive Officer, Providence Television International, Dr. Emmanuel Egariba. You're welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to say, before we start, that a lot of people are still in pains following the heavy downpour of yesterday. It destroyed a lot of properties, and I suppose that it was a bad time. It was a bad time for most households. Roofs were falling off, streets were flooded, and all of that. But we've not seen casualties. I think we must thank the good Lord for that. In some areas, electric poles fell down almost indiscriminately. So, but the rains are here already. So I'm sure that the government will just take good measures to ensure that the drains are free. In fact, I think this also goes to the residents. Let us free our drains so that water can go freely. But for those who lost properties, I must commiserate with them, and I hope that the good Lord will replenish what the locusts have eaten. So back to you.
All right. Quite a lot of issues to discuss today. But let us first of all start with this issue. We've had this trending issue ever since the Bola Tinubu administration kicked off. The issue of loans, and so many individuals out there have been wondering, what are we actually using these loans for? Front page of the Punch newspapers. Fresh $24 billion borrowing may balloon Nigeria's debt to 183 trillion naira. National Assembly set to approve Tinubu's loan request. Foreign debt nears $70 billion, and economists worry over high debt servicing.
Well, not just economists, even ordinary folks across the country, they are worried. Everybody, I think, should have every good reason to worry about this. My main worry is if or whether the National Assembly is going to approve it, but we have been told that they are set.
They're set
to approve it.
Yes, yeah.
Well, Nigerians are waiting, they're also watching. Yes, you are right. Most people think that we've not had the benefits of these loans, and the loans are piling. What that means is that we come to a break point and will not be able to repay. So, but I think that there should be openness in all of these things. What are we using these loans for?
Exactly.
Government should be able to tell Nigerians there should be no concealment. I've always said that. And there should be no element of subterfuge. We are living in a country where things are hemmed in, really, and it shouldn't be. Okay? Those in charge of our financial system should be able to tell us what the previous loans have been used for. Okay? And this is another one coming in, piling up. And the Punch, let's take the Punch again. I mean, let's look at it. Fresh borrowing may balloon Nigeria's debt to how much?
183 trillion naira.
How are we going to repay that? Don't forget, additional, the other day, the president of the African Development Bank in Cote d'Ivoire said that African countries must be very careful the way they take some of these loans. And I've said it repeatedly here. We are tied too much to the apron strings of IMF and the World Bank. Okay? They strangulate you and they make sure that the economy does not grow appropriately. So we must not walk into those traps, really.
Talking about walking into those traps, the IMF doesn't even seem particularly concerned. They're always ready to give us loans.
Yes, as long as, it's like a normal debtor-creditor relationship, okay? The creditor is always willing to give you a loan as long as he expects that you should pay. I mean, he lives on that, by the way, okay? So as long as you are willing to take, they are willing to give, But there are strings attached. That's my worry. There are strings attached to some of these loans. And for a developing country, I don't think it is best for us. It's not in our best interest. And I don't think that is what we should continue to do as a matter of policy.
Some of these strings attached. If I remember some time ago, the IMF came out to say that they had no reason to want to truncate Nigeria's financial system. But then, the adverse effects of it means the value of a naira getting continuously devalued. And so,
yes.
should we still continue with such loans? The House of Assembly even seems so keen. Anytime the president wants a loan, yes.
That's why they are labeled, not the House of Assembly now, the National Assembly.
The National,
excuse me.
Yes.
They are always keen because, look at it, for instance, it's populated by the ruling party. Okay. And the president can do no wrong. Right. But in some advanced democracies, you'll find that even members of the ruling party will be the ones to criticize the government in power. But it doesn't happen in developing countries. It doesn't, particularly African countries. It doesn't. Once the president says it or the prime minister says it, they just toe the line, which is not good for democracy. Yes, it doesn't mean that the president must always see his way through the legislature. There must be some points where the legislature will say, no, Mr. President, with due respect, this is what we should do, this is what we should do. And a lot of Nigerians really have criticized the National Assembly for this. And I imagine that this again will add to their pains and the critique of the government and its policies.
All right, while we're looking at financial issues, we would also veer a little to the health sector. We keep talking about the health sector. Now we even have issues where individuals now go out to fake drugs. It's been there, it's been trending, but the rate at which it is trending now, it's quite on the high side. Daily Times, NAFDAC uncovers fake drug factory in Delta State.
I must go back to what I said a few days ago, that NAFDAC, are they still in existence? It's a question. I mean, it is vital. But we must talk about this. When may God bless her soul, Professor Quinley, when she was around, she went into the marketplaces to be sure that these criminals did not get away with what they are doing, because they are criminals. In fact, they are felons, okay? Because fake drugs will mean that you want people dead. That's what it means, okay? And they should be charged for murder, these people. The law must take its course, really, if you're caught with fake drugs. And they bring these things in what do you call these containers? Big containers. Large containers. Yes, they bring them in from some of these countries in the Far East. So, but it's a major health issue for us in this country. And Nigerians cannot afford these drugs, good drugs, as it were. So they go for fake drugs. In fact, this will even shock you. It will shock some of our viewers. You go to a patent medicine store, and the guys ask you a very funny question. Is it the original one you want or the fake one? And the guy who comes to buy will say, just give me any one. So the guy goes behind, he gives you the fake drug. Not just that, only a few days ago, we also talked about these young ladies from God knows where, who carry all sorts of things on their heads. What they carry, it's a panacea, kind of. It will cure malaria, it will cure arthritis, tuberculosis, and all of that. It will even cure skin rashes. That's what they will tell you. It cures everything. Nigerians cannot buy from pharmacies, most Nigerians. So they patronize these young ladies, and they are in droves. They are bound in the cities all over the country. Okay? So, but these are health hazards, and they are public health issues. And I'm not surprised that this has come up from the newspaper. I'm not surprised at all. So, we are toying with the lives of Nigerians. Yes, we are toying with the lives of Nigerians. And look at the kidney problems are on the increase. Liver issues, kidney. Look, the rate of renal failure. It's amazing. It's amazing. People going for dialysis because the livers collapse. Because you take all sorts of things, and don't forget that the liver is the organ that filters, okay? So, but when you're taking all kinds of things, it gets to a point the liver collapses, and then you have kidney failure, or kidney collapse, and you have kidney failure, or renal failure, as medical doctors will call it. So, it's a big problem, and I wonder what the ministry is doing. Ministry of Health, what are they doing in collaboration with NAFDAC? Something must break. Yes, I look forward to a time when the government should even declare a state of emergency in that area, because Nigerian lives are being lost on a daily basis because they cannot afford these drugs. They cannot. And the healthy people will mean a healthy nation.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's the logic. I mean, simple logic. And it
Mm.
makes sense.
You know, just let's not just limit it to drugs. I remember there was a time, I think it was bromate or so, that was used in making bread
Yes.
in this country.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Oh, yes.
Hmm.
What's the name? I can't get the name right. I mean, all they
Yes.
use for corpses, you know,
Oh,
and
no.
things. They use it. They use it to even ripen things, to mix. They mix it with water to
Yes,
boil meat
exactly.
and
Mm.
all sort of things. What they use for dead bodies, you know.
It's terrible.
So it's terrible. There's no control.
Hmm.
That's what it is. Because if there's control, there would be sanctions. But where are the sanctions?
Brings us down to strengthening institutions.
Institutions.
like you say.
Yes, that's true.
Well, let us go down to the front page of the Tribune newspapers, where we have APC plotting one-party rule out of fear of 2027 defeat. PDP National Executive Council, this is coming from the PDP National Executive Council. PDP governors say they will not succumb to intimidation and exclusion. Lamido says he would not attend PDP meetings until Wike and others are expelled.
It's a multidimensional problem. First of all, we're talking about a one-party state.
Yes.
A one-party state is much more than what we are saying now. A one-party state means there are no other parties.
Exactly.
Okay? So we must get that clear, ab initio. What we have in Nigeria is the dominance of one party over the others. You know, a one-party state will come possibly when all the governors are now in APC. House of National Assembly, for instance, both houses, they are all in APC. That's not a possibility for now. What we have is strong dominance, overwhelming dominance of one party over the other. But you see, a lot of countries, no, some, not a lot really, they are practicing one-party system, and it's not paying off for them, with the exception of China. And I will explain that in just a moment. We have China, we have North Korea, countries that practice one-party system. Cuba, for instance, Eritrea, and which other country? I think Vietnam. If you look at all these countries, they are not making serious headway because they are limited in terms of their policies, in terms of their human resource development, except China. I'll come to the case of China. China is progressing now because they have a world view. For example, the competition is being between China and the United States. Don't forget that they were the third largest economy before. They knocked off Japan. Japan was second to the United States.
Yeah.
Now they are after the United States because they believe that warfare is not the issue. What the issue is now is economic power.
Yeah.
They believe that. And there's total orientation. Right from the primary school, they tell their children, this is where we are going, even though it's a one-party state. And let me also quickly say this. In a one-party state, there's no room for high-profile corruption like we have in developing countries. In China, for instance, if there's any high-profile corruption, the culprit goes to the hangman. Yes, there is no question about that. So there's a kind of discipline. But again, let's look at the other side. In a one-party system, there's no official opposition because everybody is in there. Okay, there's limited scope of political education. So you can't tell them a little to the right, a little to the left, right? So the people are just almost brainwashed. Okay, only one political ideology, and of course there's room for dictatorship in a one-party system. That's what people are afraid of. All right, and more susceptible to corruption. I mean, people who are involved in this. But I think the fear that people have may not subsist for now because the PDP is the major opposition party, but they are also their own greatest enemy.
From what
we are saying, they are their own greatest enemy. They cannot put their house together. Okay? Some governors are saying, no, we don't want to go the coalition way. Atiku is saying we must go the way of coalition. So, and a room or a house really divided against itself cannot stand. That's the reason why some of the governors are leaving, apparently. We know some other reasons, but let's talk about this. I mean, on their face value. Now, the PDP, which should be the strongest opposition party, is no longer there. It's crumbling fast. Okay? And they are their own, as I said earlier, they are their own greatest enemy. Some have even said, look, if Atiku, well, I'm sorry to say that I'm not a politician, but that's what we read on the pages of newspapers. If Atiku runs for presidency, most of them will resign. They are saying that already. They are not kidding about it, because they believe that Atiku's time has gone. Okay? Because age is not on his side anymore.
Yes.
So the question people are asking is, what is he even looking for anyway in the presidency? What is he looking for? So, and some of them are saying, look, if Atiku wants to go it alone, they will opt out.
Okay.
Yes. And don't also forget that there is a growing concern between Atiku and Peter Obi.
Yes, there is.
For example, I don't understand the kind of mix. All right, somebody has to explain to me what that means. But however, what we are moving to is not a one-party state, really. I mean, it's a dominance of one party over the others, and there's a clear difference.
Okay, well, that might take a whole lot of explaining.
Yes.
Might take a whole lot of explaining. We've had these issues, especially when it comes to such issues as WAEC exams, JAMB, and other exams, where you have miracle centers and all that. And now, matters are rising. The federal government, from what we can see still on the front page of the Tribune newspapers, is saying, or rather has given a direction, 3-year ban on students caught in exam malpractices. JAMB, WAEC, NECO, to ban centers involved in exam fraud. And now, my question is this: should the concentration be on the students? What about the proprietors who also encourage some of these students?
What about the parents?
What about the parents?
The parents give out money to pay to these miracle centers, whatever you call them. The parents are complicit, many of them. They want their children to pass at all costs, whereas they know that the children are not even prepared for these examinations. But far beyond all of this, we must look at the cause rather than the solution. Okay, what makes students cheat? Because they look at the larger society. For instance, it is those that cheat in the larger society that make waves. So they look at them, they see them as exemplars.
Okay.
So we must create a national culture, for instance, where cheating or whatever is not allowed in all its ramifications. Okay? But the parents, of course, we need a lot of education in this regard. Yes, they are right. Now you are banning students for 3 years. What does that mean? It means nothing to me. It means nothing because if you ban them for 3 years, it means that they cannot sit for exams for 3 years. All right. But how many of these students are going to be caught? That's the question. The miracle centers, they go around to bribe the officials. It goes round and round. I mean, it's a vicious circle. We all know this. And the parents, they are ready to pay anything. So bad that some parents will want their children to score A's and A's and A's and A's so that they can read medicine or law or engineering. Whereas they know that their students are not mentally prepared for that. Okay. So they force them into some of these things. Okay? And the country too must have a kind of orientation. Yeah, that's where the National Orientation Agency comes in. We must tell the people that, yes, you cannot win by cheating. No, you cannot. Because what this means is that you are churning out students that cannot defend what they have scored. That's what they are doing. I mean, a guy came here very many years ago before this station was established. He was looking for some job. He had 2-1 in public admin from one of these state universities. I don't want to mention the name. Yes, 2-1. Go and write your application. Handwritten.
Okay.
He wrote what a primary 6 pupil would not write. 2-1. He made it 2-1.
Okay.
Yes, meaning that he bought his way through.
Yeah.
That's what it means. So if you buy your way through examinations, what of the end result? That's why we have a lot of failures now in the university system, because the students cannot defend what they have written at exams. So please, for those in charge, there must be an orientation. The National Orientation Agency, I don't know what they are doing. This is part of the orientation we are talking about. We must give our students the right orientation and the right attitude that you can win without cheating. Yes.
Some few years ago, one minister, the Minister for Education, actually vehemently argued against this point, that the standard of education is not falling in Nigeria. What's your take on this?
Well, that's debatable. It's debatable, really, because if you look at the university system now, I mean, they will tell you, most universities will tell you that students are doing well now and stuff like that. But comparatively, the standards in years gone by with what you have now, you cannot compare. The aggregate performances of our students, you cannot compare. But again, the irony, and this is true, the irony is that, look at medicine, for instance. Even in our poor state, we churn out medical students or graduates, medical doctors, who excel outside the country. The meaning of that is that a lot of students do well on their own performance, singular performances. Because if you look at the university, for instance, also we go on strike twice a year. The infrastructure is not there. That is why parents are sending their students to private institutions where they pay millions and millions and millions. And the thing is even affecting the secondary school. Yes, I know some secondary schools in Abuja, to get your child into JS1, you pay almost 3 million.
Yeah,
just to give the child a little education at that level. And government must be involved. You must prioritize. Prioritize means give particularly the public institutions, give them the right orientation, give them the right environment. I keep talking about my old school, Edo College, for instance. When we were there in those days, we had everything, practically everything, and we were given the right orientation. I mean, you must do labor, you must do farming, you must take care of your bed, you must take care of your environment, you must cut grass, and you must go into one or two extracurricular activities. That makes you a whole person. Where do we find that? Even the library system in those days, it was compulsory. At a point in time, you go to the library. Where are those facilities now? They are gone completely. Okay, so there must be a turnaround in our educational system, and it starts with government institutions. Yes, exactly. Not even private, government institutions, because they are more in number. Yes.
You mentioned the libraries, and wow, I don't know. So to some people, maybe way back to the ages of like age 15, 16, I don't think they know what a library is now. You can't walk into any school now and find a library. What you find is this computer system.
Yeah, you have e-library. But e-library.
Well,
what I'm saying is that there must also be room for students to grasp the niceties of books.
Books, exactly.
In hard format. Yes, it is very, very important. Yes, it's important because it makes them concentrate more. Yes. And in any case, most of the books now they use for examinations. You go through the internet, these books are there, but the concentration is lost. It's lost. And like when you have books in hard copy format, you know that you are reading a book. That orientation is gone. It's gone completely. That's one of the bad effects of computerization and things like that. I'm not saying that e-library is not good, but they must go side by side. Yes, they must go side by side.
All right. Let us quickly look at this. The MCR is already warning me that we're eating into another program's time. Nigerian News Direct, front page. Afenifere appoints Olufalaye as chairman, calls for restructuring.
Olufalaye, it's an eminent Nigerian. In fact, it's one Nigerian that most people respect across the political divide. He's been secretary to the government of the federation. He's been this, he's been that. A great economist, highly respectable. For him now to come on board for Afenifere, it means that yes, they are picked right. All right, but talking about restructuring, that again is debatable. I always believe, and it's my strong point really, that it is the leadership that we should be concerned about, not even restructuring as such. Because if you have a good leader, all those indices that we find driving people towards restructuring, they will disappear. If you have a good leader, a strong leader, they will disappear. A leader who will see all Nigerians as one people, for example, a leader who will be detribalized, okay? A leader who will have compassion, who will listen, critically to what people are saying. Once you have that kind of leader, restructuring or no restructuring will disappear on its own. The only thing we can talk about is just amend a few things in the constitution, not total restructuring that they are talking about. Now, I don't buy into that.
Okay.
Yes, and in any case, a constitutional matter. All we need to do is to fine-tune some of those things. Things like state police. This can be done ordinarily without turning the constitution upside down. That will take some time. Yeah, but we can look at some of those areas that have become very critical in our national life, and we do them appropriately.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for joining us in the studio. And as usual, the CEO has a parting shot.
My parting shot would be for people who are victims of insecurity in this country. Okay, Nigerians they have been subject to all kinds of agony, and our military must be encouraged. They must be encouraged to do their job well. We have a good military in this country, because after all, they go outside this country on peace missions and they do very well. Okay, the same military. So if we arm them properly and do a lot of networking, in terms of surveillance and all that, all these things too will disappear. But it takes political will. And the victims, they cut across, thank God for that. It's not a question of Muslims or Christians and all that. They are killing Muslims, they are killing Christians.
Yeah.
Okay? There are people involved across board. And we must ensure, government now must ensure that no Nigerian life is wasted unnecessarily. Because once you take out the head of the family, what happens to the rest? Okay? So, the administration will be 2 years in office. We must do some rethink, particularly in the area of insecurity across the country. Insecurity. You heard news almost on a daily basis. You hear news of people being killed. Some governors are even tired of crying. Professor Zulum of Borno State is one of them. I pity that man.
Seriously overwhelmed.
He's overwhelmed. He's seriously overwhelmed. Benue is overwhelmed. And incidentally, the governor there is a priest. He has been praying and praying and praying. I don't know what has happened to his prayers. But this is beyond prayers. It calls for action. Action against insurgency and all kinds of criminality. Nigerians must live in a country that is safe. Yeah, because if it's not safe, how will investors come?
Exactly.
Yes, how will investors come? That's my take.
Well, once again, thank you so much, sir, for coming to the studio. For Nigerians who are presently watching, I want to say, always remember, this is our country. And for you out there, whether you're Nigerian or not, please remember to tell your friends and family about Providence Television International. Thanks for watching. Please stay tuned.